All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Mara Johnson. I use she, they pronouns. I am an admission counselor here at Pacific Lutheran University. Thanks so much for taking the time this evening to come and join us for a info session all about campus ministry here at PLU. We are joined today with a few amazing people from campus ministry, Pastor Jen and Mahanur, and I am inviting them to start off and introduce themselves.
Great. Thanks, Mara. Good to be with you all tonight. So I'm Pastor Jen. I use she, her pronouns, and I serve in campus ministry this is my 10th academic year. And I work with students and also faculty and staff. And one of the delights of my work is that I get to have a student staff team. And so one of those members, Mahanor, is here tonight, and she's been with campus ministry for 2 years. So I'll let her introduce herself and share a little bit about her and her work.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mahnur Iftikhar, and I work with Campus Ministry. And I'm also an international student from Pakistan. And I am actually double majoring in computer science and economics here at PLU. I belong to the Muslim faith, and I absolutely love working with Campus Ministry because I actually get to organize so many different events like around my faith and also in interfaith with other different events on other different faiths on campus as well. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing, both of you. Pastor Jen, I know you have created a wonderful slideshow to kind of explain what campus ministry is all about here at PLU. So I'd love to see more of that.
Yeah, I'd love to share some of that. I was saying before we started recording, in campus ministry, I feel like we really try to be present and engaged with each other. And so we're not always good at photos. So I tried to pull a few photos that just give you a sample of kind of what we're up to. So we are campus ministry, and this is our campus ministry student staff team this year. This is students from different years at school, different religious traditions, and they really are like just at the heart of campus ministry. And so campus ministry shifts year to year depending on kind of what students are interested in and what they bring to the table. So this is a picture from our annual Celebration of Light, where we celebrate different religious and cultural winter holidays. It's a time of year when we all need a little joy. And so we light up the trees on campus and we have hot chocolate and cookies and we learn about different traditions and festivals. So that's the student staff team this year. And this is kind of our mission of campus ministry. So PLU Campus Ministry seeks to cultivate a vibrant and diverse spiritual ecosystem where students experience sacred belonging, engage in spiritual growth, explore purpose, and meaningfully contribute toward creating a more just and loving world. So that's a little bit about kind of the heart of what we're trying to do in campus ministry. And it looks a lot of different ways, but we keep coming back to these core values. So here's a little bit about kind of campus ministry, and then I'll talk about religious life on campus a little more broadly. But campus ministry is really for kind of the whole campus. It's for Lutherans. Some folks might be, Lutherans come into a Lutheran school. For Christians, we do a lot of interfaith work, like Mahanor talked about. So people of a variety of religious and spiritual traditions. And then also for the spiritually curious. So I actually love working with people. More and more, we have students coming who maybe didn't grow up with a faith tradition, but they find themselves curious and wanting to explore that. So this is a great place to do that. I'm going to give you just kind of a brief overview of a bunch of programs and events that we have in campus ministry, and then I'll do a little bit more where you can see some photos and stuff. So we do have some weekly programs, like we have chapel on campus weekly and our yarn group. I'll share more about that, both of those. We have Christian programs like Ash Wednesday, Lent services there's a Lutheran church across the street from PLU, so we partner with them on some of those services. We do interfaith programming like Iftar, monthly gathering tables, which I'll talk about more, discussion groups like Brood Theology, service like our community meal, and space. We have a multi-faith meditation and prayer space and a chapel, and those are places where people can spend time individually in prayer or meditation or in community. Again, that's just kind of a big overview. So here, what's in the ecosystem of campus ministry if we're trying to create this vibrant and diverse ecosystem? So we do a weekly chapel service. Currently this spring, we're actually hosting it outside on the porch of one of our buildings where we gather for song and for prayer. And it's a 20-minute pause in the day. It's a chance to take a break from classes and studying and work and take time to worship. So again, a sort of sacred pause in the day. It looks a little different each semester, but it's got community. It always has music and prayer and scripture and things like that. Also, we have various discussion groups. So this year we're doing something called Brewed Theology with various topics. This semester we're doing one on forgiveness. We did one last term on during Gender and Sexuality Week on queer identity and faith and gender. We did one on fake news, gospel, and truth. So like we dig into some big questions and it's over happy hour or, appetizers, things like that. And so this is a chance for people to dig into theology and ask those big questions, which is really fun to do in community. And then our community meal, which actually I was over today. We were doing some prepping. We were chopping celery and carrots and onions for making a big soup. So once a month, we host a community meal, and it really is the community. It's PLU, Trinity Lutheran across the street, and then the Parkland community. So this is a way that we engage our neighbors and our neighborhood, both as volunteers, but then also just any student, faculty, or staff, anybody can come over and just have a meal together. But it's really fun to volunteer because, as you can see, you get to know different people in the kitchen. The theme this month, because of the Olympics, it's an Italian meal. So all the food has an Italian theme to it, which is kind of fun. And then this is our infamous yarn group. We've been actually doing this for 4 or 5 years, and it's intergenerational. It's community folks, it's members of PLU, both students, but also faculty and staff. And people come and we sit in community and we do yarn things. And lots of people come who don't know how to knit or crochet, but there's always someone to teach them. And so we just do that together. And we have tons of supplies so people can take yarn. They can, if you get stuck, sometimes I'll be learning something and I'm like, I'm stuck. And there's somebody there who can help me figure out kind of how to keep going with my project. But that has been super fun. It's just a delight, a weekly gathering spot where people really do find a lot of belonging and friendship. That's how a lot of people have met each other at Yarn Group and then become friends. And then we do a lot of interfaith gatherings. So our celebration of light, like I mentioned, we've done Seders before, Iftar, Diwali, just from all sorts of different traditions. And it's both meant to be for people who do celebrate that particular or observe that particular holy day, that it would feel authentic to them. So for an Iftar, we want our Muslim students to feel like, yeah, this is an Iftar. And we want to be invitational to people for whom that is not their faith, that they can come and learn and participate and that it's accessible to them. So probably we do like a little more explaining than you might, or a little more background of like, what is this observance and how do people do this who practice that? So Mahanor is taking the lead on planning our Iftar during the month of Ramadan. So that's taking place mid-March. And last year we had about 50 folks come and enjoy a meal together and learn about that observance. So that's something that we really pride ourselves on. So in addition to campus ministry, just like a broader view of religious life on campus, we do have a lot of religious clubs. And those kind of come and go depending on student interest. Currently, our clubs are more Christian focused, maybe more geared towards those of you who are non-denominational or evangelical. Maybe some of them sound familiar. So we have the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, Young Life, InterVarsity, and Ignite are kind of our current ones. But sometimes students they'll be interested in doing a particular Bible study. So they'll start a club for that. Or we have a new club coming that's kind of the spirituality of women. And so those folks are gathering. So those are all student-led, and any student can start a club. It's actually a pretty smooth process. You find some people who want to be a part of it with you. You find an advisor. And then I support our religious clubs. So I try to stay in relationship with those leaders, those student leaders and others. And that we really feel like we're all part of religious and spiritual life on campus, and we're not competitive or trying to do, trying to do different things. We're really all trying to tend to the spiritual and religious life of our community, and we do that in different ways. So it's a good partnership collaboration. So that's a quick whirlwind kind of through some of our programs, and I wanted to give you a couple of visuals since you're just seeing me and Mahanur tonight, but we represent kind of a larger group of people. That's all I got.
Thank you so much, Jen.
Yeah.
Mahanor, I was wondering if you could share a little bit about your experience being a part of the student worker team here for campus ministry and what that has been like for you for the last 2 years.
Of course, I would love to answer that question. I actually came to PLU not knowing if I would be able to find any form of like community here. That was just like one of the things I was really worried about. But I remember like interviewing for campus ministry was just something that really stood out to me, the values for it, the interfaith values that it included, and just the opportunity to be involved on campus like that. And I have absolutely loved my experience working with Pastor Jen and the student team over the past 2 years. Like I've seen like students come and stay in the team for 4 years and then end up graduating. And it just feels like a family, to be honest, because Pastor Jen is like always there to support us. And I just love working with my other like coworkers. Like they're all absolutely amazing. They all like have so many different like faith traditions, backgrounds that they come from and that they're willing to share in community with all of us. And I feel like you end up learning a lot through it, through every single person, their story. And I have been able to like also learn a lot, grow a lot. I've been able to like share my own faith as a Muslim, like with my team. And like beyond that, with the broader campus, like Pastor Jen mentioned, like we organized the Interfaith Iftar. And during that, we had like people from campus ministry and like other DJS scholars, like just be part of like the planning team to make sure that like we were answering the questions that people from different faiths might have about what an iftar means. So yeah, it's an amazing experience. Like you learn to embrace complexity, which is just like embrace complexity, and you learn how to like engage with diversity. And I feel like beyond that, you learn a lot of like pluralism. I feel like through these values. And like while working with Campus Ministry, I was also able to like get an external fellowship with Interfaith America, which was an absolutely amazing experience. I got to like engage with people like beyond my faith backgrounds in a broader context. And like I think Campus Ministry opens up a lot of opportunities for you in that way as well if you end up becoming a part of the team. So yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing those experiences, Mahanor. I was wondering, I know that we have a lot of acronyms here on campus that for those who are watching who are maybe not familiar with some of what those spaces are. I know you shared how DJS scholars helped campus ministry in this iftar and everything. And I was wondering if you could quickly explain for those who don't know what is the Center for DJS and who are DJS scholars and how did that collaboration together between those two spaces of campus ministry and the Center for DJS come together in that event?
Yeah, of course. I would love to answer that. For DJS, it's basically the Diversity, Justice, and Sustainability Center. And us as Reiki scholars and as DJS scholars, like what we do is just like it's a broader program that runs throughout the year, and you meet like together every single week, and you just discuss like one topic like centered around like diversity. It could be something unique. It's like usually something informative is what I have realized from my experience being a DJS scholar, being a Reiki scholar. And then you also like get to participate in like a lot of like activities that you wouldn't be a part of otherwise. And you get to learn a lot of things that you wouldn't learn like if you weren't part of that specific community, and you actually like get to meet people from like a lot of diverse like backgrounds and a lot of diverse experiences. And as for campus ministry and DJS, we were able to like actually like work with the Reiki scholars that were interested in helping plan the interfaith iftar, and they were in Muslim. They were like people from like just different religions, like different faith backgrounds, and they were just like interested in helping us plan this event through a lens of like diversity, through a lens of like curiosity. Like, oh, like I'm not a Muslim, so I'd be interested to know, like, like how long do you fast for? Or is it like not even water question, that we were usually answering. So yeah.
Thank
I
you
think
so
that speaks to like all the collaboration. So
Yeah.
like that we work with the Center for Diversity, Justice, and Sustainability. We work with like for our celebration of light, we're working with the Green Club and Latinx Unidos and like lots of different folks. So that because it's a smaller campus, which that's such a delight, is like you don't have to just kind of pick one thing and then that's your thing. You get a chance to work with a lot of different communities and clubs, and I think we pride ourselves on collaboration, which we're able to do, and is like Mahanor said, is a real gift.
Absolutely. Um, with the collaboration and the experiences you've had so far, Mahnur, I was wondering if you could share, you shared how growth and learning have been kind of some key things for you in your experience so far in campus ministry. Could you share a few key takeaways that you've had so far during your time here?
Yes, of course. One of the most important things that I realized is just like how important interfaith and diversity is overall. Like in the world that we live in today, it is more important than ever to just like realize that everybody comes from a place of love, and we need to like step forward into these communities through a lens of understanding, and through just like a lens of like being willing to like see that diversity around you and be willing to like take some things away from it. Because I feel like being a Muslim and being in an interfaith space, a lot of people are afraid of like stepping into like a different religious communities, like space like a church or something like that. But I personally have volunteered at churches. I have volunteered at or at the community meals as well, and they've been an absolutely amazing experience, like the warmth that you experience through all of that. And it has just made me realize how important it is to embrace that diversity, to be understanding, and to just like embrace complexity, because a lot of people are going to be coming from a lot of different backgrounds, from a lot of like different faith perspectives, and just like being willing to listen to other people is like the first step towards like more peace and more love. Because like recently we've been experiencing a lot of hate in a lot of like different spaces. So yeah, I think PLU like really gives the message of how important belonging and like love is for us on campus and beyond that as well.
Absolutely.
Can I brag on Mahanor a little bit too, just
Go for
in
it.
terms of learning and leading? So I don't usually hire first year students, but Mahanor interviewed and I was like, wait, what time is it there? And it was like the middle of the night in Pakistan. And like as she's now finishing her second year with us, like something like the Gathering Table, which is a hosted conversation around religious and spiritual diversity, right? So when she first came, she sort of participated, helped plan it. Now she's facilitating those on her own, like coming up with the idea and leading not only students but faculty and staff in these really deep discussions. So I think like watching students grow in leadership, again, because of the way our campus works and the size of it, there's these opportunities to really grow into leadership. And so Manor mentioned that fellowship that she applied for, outside of PLU, it's a really big deal. There's only like a dozen, I think, around the country. And so and then she brings that back to our community. So I do think like having these opportunities to, we're not just looking for like students to do jobs, right? Or to like labor. It's like, how are you growing in your learning and your leadership? And I think Manhor is a great example of that. for sure.
Absolutely. That is
And
such an exciting thing that you got that fellowship through Interfaith America. That
yes,
is a really big deal. It's an incredible
yeah,
organization, and to be able to um not only, as you said, Jen, be able to take what she's learning in that experience, bring it back to campus, but also all the things you've shared that you are learning here on campus, you're able to bring that to that experience in your fellowship as well, that cross pollination. I think that's really special.
yes.
Um, Jen,
And
yeah, go
sorry.
for it, please, Manur.
No, I was just going to mention, like, adding on to that, like that Interfaith America Fellowship. Like, I feel like campus ministry like gave me the ropes for the leadership that I have today. Like Pastor Jen, she is extremely supportive. I feel like she like gives like us like student workers the confidence to actually put our ideas forward and be able to be confident in like going ahead with them and like leading all these spaces. Like she mentioned, like I now lead like these conversations with different like staff and faculty, and I don't feel intimidated at all because I feel like, you know, I'm trusted with these conversations and these spaces to be able to lead. And I would say that like the effect has trickled down into like different aspects of my life as well. Like I'm an RA on campus as well, and I have other like positions on campus and then my major as well. So I feel like I've learned how to like hold myself up in these like spaces as a leader. And with Interfaith America as well, that was an amazing opportunity. And on top of that, I was invited again as a mentor for the next upcoming batch for the fellows with Interfaith America. So yeah, definitely like yeah.
I think you're speaking, Mahnor, too, to the integration between the varieties of ways that you learn. So you mentioned like the leadership that you're learning in campus ministry and how that translates to your major and what you're learning there. Like it's not like there's academics and then there's everything else you do. Like it's all really integrated. And I love that you just exemplify that a lot. Yeah.
Yes, for sure.
Jen, I was wondering if I've heard a lot from the two of you today talking about different values of like love, belonging, connectedness, all those different things. And I know here at PLU, we do hold a lot of values and core values and how we live that out. And I was wondering if you could share specifically, how does campus ministry hold those values of PLU and being Lutheran, but also be a space for everyone?
Yeah, that's a great question, Mara. The way we talk about it is, and this is at other Lutheran colleges and universities as well, we talk about being rooted. So we're rooted in our identity as a Lutheran university, which is where all those values come from, right? The way that we express love and compassion and justice. So there's a rootedness. And then there's an openness. And even more than just like passively open, it's like a reaching. And that's the like expansive, that's the interfaith work. That's the how do we live this out across difference? How do we collaborate? So we try to have this balance of both being rooted in whatever tradition, but for the university, that's our Lutheran tradition. But for Mahanor, that's the Muslim tradition, right? And then how are we reaching? How are we, open to others? That's kind of that's like one of the metaphors we work with. And then we're constantly coming back to how we're living out our values. So our values around like building authentic relationships, around hospitality, that we just are continuing, like if we're planning a program, we're like, okay, now how are we being intentional that people are going to feel like they're welcome and wanted and that they have a chance to get to know someone else. So it's really about like the intention and then the attention that we place on that. Um, and I think like across the university, but out of campus ministry too, belonging. And for us, that comes out of this value that like all people are sacred and are valuable. And that's a spiritual belief that many of us hold. And so that's kind of the root of it. It might come from other places too for other people, but for us, that's part of it. So I think I love we have a faculty member who says like PLU is not a values neutral place. Like we're full of values. And so you don't have to have all the same values, but you're getting an education that is steeped in values. Values of community. Like it's actually not just about you. None of us survive as just solo people in the world. And that we're connected with the rest of the natural world, right? Not just humans, but the ecological community. So yeah, I think it's yeah, intention and attention, and then I think this rooted and open. Those are two things I'd say.
Absolutely. And and with the great diversity that we have here on campus and different faith and spiritual backgrounds, for people who are looking for faith communities that maybe PLU doesn't have an official space for that. Maybe they're looking for a synagogue or a temple or something like that. Um, XYZ spaces. How does campus ministry support those students in being able to find that community more locally within the South Sound Tacoma area to be able to practice their traditions and explore that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we try to maintain relationships with our local faith communities of a variety of faiths. So if a student comes from like out of state and they're looking for like the Jewish temple in town, we want to be able to say, oh, yep, we know them over there. So on our website, we host some of that information so people can find like kind of what's close to PLU. Um, but yeah, I think like we want people to be nurtured in their faith tradition and be able to find ways to live that out. We also do like I think next week we do it each semester. We do like they call them I think they call them meet and greets. And so they're different, yeah, different identity groups. So we do one that's on like faith and spirituality. So people can come to that if they're trying to connect with other people who might have a faith or a spiritual background. And so that's a place that people are like, "Oh, I didn't know there was another like Hindu on campus. Let me connect with you," or whatever it is. Um, and then we also have academic classes in religion that study some different faiths, like Buddhism and Islam. And so those faculty also sometimes have connections in the community that we can help a student find connection to. Um, yeah, I mean, I think it depends on like some faith communities, there's a lot of options in Tacoma, and some there might be fewer. And so just like working with a student to figure out like what's going to be a good fit for them. Um, yeah.
Um, I love those loot meet and greets that we have at the beginning of each semester. I'll be there myself. I've
Yeah.
already RSVP'd, so
Good.
excited for that. But I think that is a really special opportunity that's intentional, even beyond the more informal ways of being able to create connections across campus. This is a really great way for even faculty, students, and staff members to be able to create connections that, students are not just having to go to their peers for that type of mentorship or community. It really is a campus wide invitation for us all to be able to connect together in meaningful ways. Yeah.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Um, when it comes to opportunities here with Trinity Lutheran Church, I was wondering if you could share a few upcoming things beyond the Yarn group that you as campus ministry collaborate with the church congregation.
Yeah. Well, the first one that we do every academic year is during new student orientation. I meet students on campus who want to go to church on that Sunday morning, and we walk across the street together and we worship together. So there's a way for them, they don't have to go by themselves. And the church, they usually have plants that they give everybody, like little green things for their room or their home or whatever. So that's something we do every year. Then you mentioned Yarn Group and our community meal. And then also we're about to begin the Christian season of Lent. And so we partner with them for Ash Wednesday services and then also for midweek Lent services. So this is the season leading up to Easter. So we gather on Wednesdays and we have a free soup dinner and then a service. So it's usually this year we're doing a service called Christ Our Peace as we think about just how are we praying for peace in our world, in a pretty divided world. So we'll gather in that. Um, and that's so people will come over from PLU and then also folks from Trinity. We also did a Habitat for Humanity Service Day together in the fall. So we really just try to just respond to what people might be interested in. But we definitely have the things like community meal, Yarn Group, like those are staples for sure with Trinity Lutheran. And many students will worship there on Sunday mornings because literally, again, it's across the street, and it's a very welcoming community, and yeah, students enjoy being over there.
Thank you so much. Um, Mahanor, I was wondering if you would be able to share more about how your time in campus ministry, and your time here at PLU as well in general, uh, that you have felt like you've been able to grow in your sense of calling and meaning and purpose in your life. Maybe has your direction of maybe where you thought you were going to be coming in as a student changed at all? What has that experience been like for you when you've learned more about what is that vocation calling you to show it, how to show up in the world?
Yeah, I would love to answer that question. I feel like PLU really focuses a lot on your vocation through a lot of different ways. Like you might not like see it immediately, but like these things really do shape you in a way you don't realize till you graduate, or maybe like afterwards you're just like, oh, okay, this taught me this, you know? So I feel like for me coming into college, I had no plans of being so involved on campus. Like I was just like, I'm gonna get this degree and I'll be out of here or something like that. But just like I had no idea, like just being involved with campus ministry in that sort of way would like connect me with so many people across campus. And I'm so grateful for that experience because it taught me that like to exist in the world that we are in today, like embracing that complexity and embracing like diversity is more important than ever. Like the sense of belonging is very important for me now that I think about where I want to be in the future. I really want to prioritize being in a space where I can find that sense of belonging, either in my workspace or either with the people that I am around, because it really does shape you into the person that you become eventually. So just like I want to prioritize the values of a company before I go there to just like start working there at a job or something like that, because you just coming to college thinking that you're gonna get a degree, then get a job, but then you get involved on campus like this, and then you really start like focusing on what your values are and what your beliefs are. And like they help guide you to where you want to end up in the future as well, instead of just like winging it as we usually do when we come into college as freshmen. So I think that has been really important for me. Like I want to like really think more about my vocation and my values as well as I go. I've been able to like I have been shaped a lot by my experiences so far, but I'm also very sure that there would be so many other things that will do that till the day that I graduate in a way. So yeah.
And beyond. I mean, Manu, I think you're really speaking to the way we talk about vocation here at PLU, right? People come in thinking like vocation is like my career or my job or my major. And then we're like, actually, it's about your whole life. And you kind of talked about that. You're like, I came in, I was like just gonna get my degree. And then you're like, oh, actually, I'm gonna be involved in all these other ways rooted in my values. Because it's really is about constructing a whole life. I think that's the value of a PLU education. It's about your whole life.
Yes, I definitely agree to that. It's just like you think it would just be a job. You think see things as a job or just like going to grad school or something, but then you really just start thinking that, oh, like this is what I actually value in my life, and this is like the things that I want in my future as well. And you start like working towards those things and incorporating them into your short-term goals.
Absolutely. And Pastor Jen, this is even, I know this is not directly tied to campus ministry, but I know you this semester are starting to teach co-collaboratively with Liberty from Wild Hope Center for Vocation, that first year experience class. And I was wondering, with your Pastor Jen hat on, how does that show up in that class that you're teaching this year too, that's available for first year students coming in to take?
Yeah, this is the third time we've taught this class, and also once as a study away, but this was for first year students, and it's called Purposeful Living. And it's the connection between vocation, so our calling, our purpose, and our values at PLU of diversity, justice, and sustainability. And it's a total delight. And really, students really, I think, often come in like Mahanor, really thinking about a major and a career, which is important, absolutely. And in the course, we're also trying to broaden that, right, to your whole life. And also we've had students like they start off one path and then they're like, I don't want to do that. Or I failed all my classes in that, or I'm about to, so I'm going to drop them. And they're like, that is not the path for me. And so it's also about figuring out like, what is your path? And it might not be that the way you come in is like you just, straight path ahead. There might be a lot of twists and turns, and there's room for that. You might take a gen ed class that you're like, I don't know, I need a, class in anthropology. And then you're like, oh my gosh, I love anthropology. I had no idea. And then you continue to follow that curiosity or that interest. So yeah, the classes, it's really fun. And students are also figuring out like, what is their own voice, what other voices are kind of coming in, kind of whose voice are they responding to as they're being called into something. And some of the folks are religious in the class and some aren't, and so they explore kind of where does calling come from in different ways. But yeah, it's a good one. Sign up for it. We're
Shameless
teaching it
plug.
next J term.
There we go, everyone. Awesome. Well, do either of you have any other things you'd like to share at all about campus ministry, PLU, things you're maybe excited that will be happening soon, and some projects you're working on, anything like that?
I think I've talked enough about like projects and stuff. The one thing I would add though is in addition to like working with this team and all the sort of events and programs we do in campus ministry, I'm also available for one-on-one care, for pastoral care, for like what should I do with my life conversations. I walk with students sometimes through like grief or through loss or through breakups or you know or homesickness or just all sorts of things. So I am very happy to and like to enjoy to meet with students one-on-one. Sometimes first year students too come and they're like, I'm just trying to figure out what my place is. And so we kind of talk through that. And so that's something else that we do. Mahanor, what else would you add? Anything else?
Thanks for that, Jen.
I think for me, it would just be like advice on like being curious. Like be extremely curious and don't be afraid to step into these places, because I know coming to college you will really start doubting and thinking that you don't belong, but it's when you step into these places that you realize that you actually do. I would definitely recommend like meeting with Pastor Jen. She's absolutely amazing, like for sure. And then just like being curious about the different things and the different like um resources available around you. So yeah,
I
it
love
comes
that.
with an
I love
amazing
that.
experience.
Be curious. Yeah.
Be curious. My last question I have for the two of you tonight is, why PLU? I know both of you have been here for different lengths of time. You're coming for different reasons, but why PLU for you, and why do you stay here?
Do you want to go first, Mahanor, or do you want me to go?
I think you can go.
Okay. Well, I came to PLU because I felt like a real alignment with the values of PLU and my own personal values, that for me are rooted in faith. And I stay because I enjoy working with the people who are here, the students, the faculty, and the staff. I feel like people are rooted in values. Like I said, like there's a sense of purpose here. There's a lot of deep care, and it's authentic. Like I really feel like people do care about each other. We care about our students. We have a sense that like we're trying to contribute to a better world. And we all do that in a variety of ways, but I feel like people are committed to that. Um, yeah, I just think it's a good group of people. And I think I believe in our mission wholeheartedly. So that's why I came, and that is why I stay.
Thank you, Jen. Mahanur, would you like to share for you why
Yeah,
PLU?
of course. I feel like for me, as I've talked to like multiple other students, we usually come to PLU because of the great scholarships and the fact that like the education that you get here is extremely valuable. So that's like one of the reasons that I also came to PLU. But I think like deciding to stay here is because of the community and the different things that Pastor Jen shared as well, that you find a sense of belonging on campus. And a college experience really shapes you up for the rest of your life, and I feel like PLU contributes to that in a very positive way. You like stop seeing different boundaries around you, especially as I am a woman in tech as well, connecting it to my major. I feel extremely supported on campus through the different programs here, through the different funds on campus. I've been able to do so much. Like I flew out to MIT, I'm going to Harvard next week, and PLU supports me in all of that. So I feel like, yeah, you really do grow when you're here at PLU within your career and within your values and your vocation. So yeah.
That's absolutely amazing. Like,
Mahnor's only a second-year student.
that's what I was
too,
about
you
to
know?
say. You have so much more time. Imagine
Yeah.
what else is going to be happening in the next few years and beyond PLU. That's amazing.
Mhm.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you both so much for your insights, your incredible stories and things you've shared with us today. I think that there's really great value in all that you've been able to reflect with us all. And I know that you, Pastor Jen, are available whenever for prospective students, families, folks to be able to talk to you too, even before they decide on PLU. So for those of you who are watching this, know that she is even a resource for you before you start your time here.
For sure. Yeah, be happy to.
Absolutely. Thank you both so much again, and I hope you all have a wonderful night and evening. Take care.
Thanks. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.